It's these two guys. These two guys. It's these two guys.
What began as a dispute over a valuable Lego collection quickly grew into one of the internet's most unlikely and controversial sagas. The collection belonged to Ed Mansell, an Oregon Lego enthusiast whose son, Brian Mansell, would soon find himself locked in a battle over what happened after the collection was placed on consignment. According to Brian, his father was largely unaware of the conflict that was about to unfold. What followed was a sprawling online drama involving thousands of videos, leaked documents, previously redacted police body camera footage, lawsuits, public accusations, and millions of views across social media platforms. At the center of it all was Ben Schneider, better known online as Recklkess Ben. Known for using investigation, public records requests, persistence, documentation, undercover tactics, and direct confrontation to challenge organizations and individuals he believes have acted improperly, Schneider became deeply invested in the case.
Being arrested? Yeah, I've been arrested now. Really? This is my first time ever being arrested.
But beneath all the headlines, legal filings, and online warfare was one fundamental question. Who actually owned the Mansell Lego collection? Did the collection still belong to Ed Mansell? Had ownership transferred to the operators of the Reclkess and Minifigs franchise in Keizer, Oregon? Or was the matter governed by policies and agreements involving Reclkess and Minifigs corporate? Determined to find answers, Reclkess Ben dug deeper and deeper into the dispute. What began as a disagreement over a collection of plastic bricks soon evolved into a years-long conflict involving business owners, attorneys, law enforcement, internet personalities, and a rapidly growing online audience. And that's where our story begins.
Well, as you see, this is where the story begins for us. I'm George Henry.
And this is Larry Richardson.
And we are these two guys. Now, one of the reasons why we wanted to do this story, and I know we're coming on kind of late with this thing, but it's a very local connection for us. I mean, this is right down the road. In fact, I was 10 minutes from Keizer this morning, and so it's very close. And then Eugene's store is even closer.
Which I've seen that store.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You haven't been in it, though?
No.
No.
I'm a big Lego fan.
Yeah, I'm not either. It's too small parts for me.
I've stepped on plenty of them.
Yeah. Oh, me too. Amen to that. But anyway, so we thought we'd kind of not necessarily go back to the beginning, but kind of like look into this. Now, Brian Mansell, he lives in Salem. His father has cancer, 80-some years old, I think is what the thing was. And so he had this huge Lego collection that he's been, a Star Wars Lego collection. We have to be specific about that. Because they are very popular items in there. So he's been collecting this, and he's like, they need money for his cancer treatment,
I think cancer treatment, I think kids' education or something like that.
Maybe so, yeah. It was a little bit of both on that, because he wanted
his money.
He wanted his grandkids to be able to go to college. So if he hadn't had to use that money on cancer, he would have used that money to go to his kids there. So this story gets started where Brian Mansell is not having success getting his collection back, which was on consignment with this Reclkess and Minifigs. Now, the dispute there goes back to the guys with Reclkess and Minifigs corporate said, we don't do that. We don't do consignment. Right. But that's gone back and forth because there's videos of Aaron McNeff saying, well, they do consignment. Right. So it's like, he's either walking it back or he's mistakenly said something that he didn't mean to say.
Yeah, which is kind of weird for all of this if you think about it. I mean, if $200,000, is it worth, would it be worth for a corporation to literally go through all of this for that much money? It actually wasn't even that much, right? Because some of those Legos had already been sold.
Yeah, a few of them have already been sold. And the whole deal was the Reclkess and Minifigs in Keizer was going to sell them. They were going to take a portion, which is what consignment does, and then give the rest to the Brian Mansell's family and his father's cancer fund. But somewhere along the line, the store, the Reclkess and Minifigs franchisees came in and closed down this store, which was run by another family. Right. And so that's where Joshua Johnson came into it, because Joshua Johnson's name is on the Eugene store. His name is on that. So how this ended up in Utah, we'll figure that out as we get. But this was just originally started as a consumer complaint. You know, this wasn't supposed to be a big deal. This wasn't supposed to be where it is today.
Right. And then we got a YouTube investigator involved, which was another huge question.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why did why did Reckless Ben get involved?
Well, I think that Reckless Ben was contacted by Brian Manziel at some point. But, you know, so you look at that. Brian Manziel was just trying to get money for his family. They had a means to do it because these are very collectible items, still in the box, probably never been played with. You know, the dad just bought these and put them away in a box and been collecting for years.
In Lego values, if anybody knows anything about Lego, and actually just Lego, right? There's
Lego.
plural.
No, Lego values. Yeah.
Lego value. That's a lot. I mean, and they do go up in rarity. Star Wars is one of those things where, you know, they release them by the numbers, and there's only a few of them out there. So if you've got one of those rare, you know, one of 20 Lego boxes, the value's only going to increase.
Yeah, if you got a Millennium Falcon, I mean, you know, that's some bucks there. So all in all, it turned out initially they said it was around $200,000 value. I don't think $100,000 was sold of it, but I think that when they came back there, they said, well, if we could get $100,000,
right,
we'd be happy.
Yeah, he wanted to settle. He
didn't
try to get exactly what was originally offered. I guess at some point they were willing to take a settlement amount, which was less than what was projected.
And when the store got closed, these boxes were sitting in the store. And then Bricks and Minifigs says, no, these are ours now. Because we don't, apparently they valued them enough, and this is conjecture, apparently they valued them enough to say, we're keeping these.
We're keeping them. Right.
You know?
Because if you're a franchise built on Lego product, then you know what you have when you see rare Lego sitting in your inventory.
Yeah. It doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure it out. No, anyway.
That's just greed. That was in the.
Well, and again, I mean, I'm not discounting what you're saying there, but the conjecture would be it's greed.
It's greed, yeah.
I mean, because, you know, there's still a lot of things that we won't know. Now, this month, June 22nd, is the court date when Ben gets to say his side of the story. But we'll get into that a little bit later on that, though.
And if you guys have never worked in a consignment store, basically you bring your stuff to them, and usually it's a niche thing, right? Like if you bring furniture to a furniture store, you bring Lego to a Lego store, you bring, you know, video games to a video game store, and they would sell their product, and usually they would take somewhere between 20, sometimes 50% of whatever that sale would be, and you would get a check for the remaining balance. So that's.
And you know, again, that percentage wise is based on, you can have an individual contract with somebody and say, well, I'll give you 15%, and they say no, I'll take 20, and then you dicker back and forth, and you come to a number at some point. But, you know, getting involved in all of this, it's just like, you know, at what point would somebody get involved in this? You know, somebody like Reckless Ben.
You know, being YouTube personalities, I
is that what we are?
We are YouTube personalities.
Okay, good. I like that. I like that. Yeah, we are YouTube personnel.
I don't know what would make you want to what would make you want to get involved in something like that? I mean, you're on a radio station, right? I mean, at what point would something happen if you have property to disappear, where you would feel like you need to reach out to someone?
Well, I mean, I think that, like, from a news angle, I think once I heard that the store was closed and they weren't giving them back, that would be when I would get involved, when I would try to find out, when I do some investigating on my own,
right?
You know. But then again, you know, as a journalist, different than a YouTube personality.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, investigative reporter, you know, that's a different field. And I guess the two can mix, because that's kind of where Reckless Ben is, right?
Yeah.
He's kind of a, I don't know if he does podcasts, but I know he does a lot of investigative kind of reporting and
Yeah, he doesn't do like a sit down pot like we do. He doesn't do like we do. But he goes out and he videotapes everything he does. He investigates. He gets all this stuff done
public
there.
records,
Yeah.
Court cases, anything.
FOIA requests,
Yeah.
stuff like that, and get that all there. So, he saw, and I don't know Reckless Ben, and Reckless Ben, if you see this, I don't see him as an opportunist. I don't think he saw this as a way for him to get cash from the company. Now, he'll make money through his YouTube views
Right.
and his TikTok
content,
videos.
right.
Yeah, his content. And I'm sure that's why he's doing it,
And I'm sure he didn't expect it to go where it's.
I don't think he did. I wouldn't have thought so. But then again, the longer this goes on, in my opinion, even though he's being silenced right now, the longer this goes, the better it is for him.
Yes.
Because the more he has to say about it, the more clicks. And I don't know if you saw his video where he's sitting there by himself. We had a little bit of a clip of it in the thing there, where he's like, I've got the 3rd episode done. It's ready to go, but I can't even mention their name. I can't even say who it is, Bricks and Minifigs, but he couldn't say it.
Yeah, he couldn't even say bricks and anything.
No.
He said mysterious
Mystery company.
mystery company.
A mystery company.
So he's got what is it? RTO? No, TRO?
TRO, temporary restraining order.
Temporary restraining order.
Yeah, till the 22nd.
Yeah. Which
Or no, actually, it's till the 30th of June, but the 22nd is his court date. At that point, it can be extended or dropped.
So when he's saying that this TRO, when he's saying he can't say anything, literally he can't say anything. He can't comment on anything. He can't post anything. He can't. Even if he does an interview, it can't be aired. Nothing can be done until after that temporary restraining order is lifted.
And meanwhile, the company is saying that they want all the videos that have already been published to be pulled. But you've got over 10 million views already.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't know if that's even the combination of all the different YouTubers and all the different talking heads that are getting involved in this. I don't even know if it's all them. There might be more than 10 million at this point. And you can't put the
Genie back in the box.
That's right. That's the one. I was going to say crap back in the bag, but
Yeah.
but anyway, you can't do that. But anyway, Ben enters the story because someone believes they've been wronged and wants exposure. They've seen Ben's videos. They know Ben is effective in what he does. Ben has had success in the past, so they said, "Hey, let's do this."
And apparently there's the pulling all the videos. Now this is what I've heard, and correct me if I'm wrong. I know you're more deep in this than I am. Now they're trying to cite that there's impact to their business too, right? But they can't prove anything. They can't prove that because of this, in relation to what Ben has released and all the press, positive and negative for both parties or however it goes, that it's actually affecting their business, which I think is one of the other challenges.
Well, other than they closed down the Kaiser location.
Was it because of?
No, it wasn't because of that.
Yeah.
It wasn't because of that. But yeah, and again, I would think, this is just me conjecturing again, that is definitely affecting their business.
It should be, yeah.
Yeah. Whether or not there's proof, I mean, I guess you look at the sales receipts. If my sales started going down after January of this year, which is when it really started hitting the fan, then you could say, look, we've been impacted, but is it of our own doing?
The economy's kind of crappy.
Economy's crappy too, yeah.
So people are not spending. It costs a lot of money to drive to go get Lego. So, you would have to really prove that it was direct, like a survey they could take, right? And say,
Yeah, there's 10 million people they could survey.
yeah, this is the reason why we're not going to the store. But yeah, they would have to, the onus would be on them to prove that that's why they're not getting the business they thought they were getting.
So Ben begins investigating this. One of the first things they did was they went, before the Kaiser store closed, they went to the Kaiser store. There's video out there where he spoke to the lady behind the counter, just asking. He wasn't being aggressive or anything. And she automatically shut him down and said, "You need to leave my store now." So now maybe because Brian Mansell had been in there already,
Yeah, we don't know exactly what triggered her to say.
What triggered her
this.
to say that? We don't have that information there. And again, that store's closed.
Right.
So, you know, what can you,
And the franchisee, the original, she's gone.
yeah, they're out, she's out of it.
Yeah, she moved somewhere else and started doing some other.
Out of the country, wasn't it?
I think so.
I think they moved out of the country, which, you know, I don't know. Maybe, you know, the conspiracy theory is that Bricks and Minifigs said, here's some money, disappear.
Which again, I mean, I don't know. And I'm going off track here, but I'm thinking you got $200,000 worth of Lego. You're a franchise. I don't know how many stores Brick and Minifigs have, but let's say they have 5, right? And you're franchising these things out. You got to be making some money, right? You got your label, you got your, you know, your licensing and all this other stuff, and you're pulling this money back. How much money is it worth putting your entire business on the line? At what point do you say, I'm gonna grift this particular person for what $100,000 worth of Legos, close the store. I don't know if the store was making money in Kaiser, but at what point do you risk that? What point do you risk losing everything over just, you know, like maybe $100,000 worth of Legos, unless maybe some of those Legos are worth way more than they originally anticipated.
That's a possibility.
I mean, I don't know.
So I just did a quick check. 300 stores. They opened their 300th store in 2025. That's a huge
That's a huge thing.
It's a huge deal. They could afford
To pay the guy what he...
or give him back. He didn't even. He would have taken the Legos back.
So then greed is definitely...
You got to think.
It's got to be greed.
You got to be. And you know, again, I don't want to, you know, put the onus on these owners of the company, you know, because I don't want to be legally held accountable for it. Is the reason. But they've got to know that they did this all wrong.
Yeah.
You know, there's got to be a point. And, you know, even they walked, there's an interview with Ammon McNeff where he's saying, well, you know, we were trying to talk to them. We were going to give them back their stuff. But like, there's no gonna give somebody back their stuff. You just give it back.
It's not yours.
It doesn't need to be a big freaking deal.
And as I was stating with consignment stores, anybody who's done this, you know, you sign a contract, you sign paperwork. There's physical records of what was delivered, what was expected. It's all there.
See, but I think the idea is when they close the store, right? Mm-hmm. Then that makes that contract null and void because it was with the franchise owners and not the corporation.
So basically, they're saying that she should have returned them before, but it was a hostile takeover too. They come in and change the locks. And
they came in and they closed her.
They closed her.
She didn't close herself.
Right.
They
she was
closed
fired
her.
And
yeah, because she wasn't paying her franchise fees.
the franchise dues.
You know. So anyway, Reckless Ben gets involved in this. Boom! All of a sudden, the hits start coming, the views start coming. You know, he's getting a lot of response out of this there. And then additional people start coming forward, you know, with you know, comments and questions and stuff like that about, you know, how Bricks and Minifigs does their business. And then it just snowballs.
And then at that point, it's still a low-level story. Like, I mean, at that point, when you realize this is going on, there were still many opportunities they had to keep this from blowing up the way it is. Because when you're still at that level where people are asking, hey, why didn't you just give it to them? What, you know,
well, they had from early 2025
right.
until the end of 2025.
Right.
They had almost a whole year.
And just decided that they were just going to blow it. Now, that could be, aside from greed, could be pride. Could be, you know, I'm never wrong. I'm just going to do this, and those people are just going to disappear. They're hoping that maybe the old man will just pass and wither away, and everybody will forget about it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's really, it doesn't.
It makes the story very, very interesting because it goes way beyond just that.
Well, and then, you know, like we were talking about earlier, you know, some civil cases came in that Ben did, which were dropped because he wasn't a party to it, but he became part of the story at that point, you know, and he inserted himself into it.
Himself as a player instead of just the, you know.
Because he was, well, and I think it happened because they were coming down on him personally, even though he was just trying to find out. So once they started coming down on him personally, that's when he started taking action personally,
Which
you know,
makes sense, yeah.
which makes sense. Yeah, you got to do that. So, he goes from the storyteller to the lead actor, because Brian Manzell is pretty much, you don't see much of him or many comments of him, what he does to that. So at this point, we're into early this year, after almost a year of all this kind of smoldering underneath the radar there. And then all of a sudden, boom, it becomes a really big internet sensation.
Yeah, he got arrested, and that was filmed, and all the stuff that was filmed prior to the temporary restraining order, that's all been released.
Yeah.
So
Well, not all of it, because he had a third episode recorded. He had a third episode recorded and finished, totally edited, totally ready to go. But that has not been publicly seen yet.
that's the one that he mentioned he was by himself.
Right.
Saying that, okay, I thought he filmed that after the restraining order, just holding out. So this
No,
is
no.
filmed prior.
Yeah, this is film. He was just editing and putting it all together. Because I know from the editing standpoint, there's a lot that you've got to do sometimes, especially when it's involving himself, maybe some other players involved in it. The cops video.
Fact checking and to release legally. You got to check a lot of things to make sure that you can't post something that, you don't want to post something and realize that, oh, that was illegal. I didn't have the rights to post that.
But the thing is, I don't know what is illegal in this, if anything, because if you're not on the guy's property, you can film.
Right.
If you're not in the guy's face, you can film. You can go into a store and ask a question while filming.
Right.
I think when it becomes illegal or menacing is when there's threats involved.
Threats, private property.
Which is what Joshua Johnson in American Fork in Utah started to do.
Right.
Now, I don't know how much of the video you've seen, but I watched the whole body cam footage of him interacting with the American Fork Police Department. And when they went to Ben and Ben tried to explain to him what he was doing, the process server and all this stuff, they pretty much didn't listen to him at all. They didn't research it at all because, I don't know, but it sounded like Joshua Johnson and the police officers went to the same church, is what it sounded like. And it's a tight-knit community, and they cover their own. I was married to a Mormon woman. I know they protect their own.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. I have a lot of Mormon friends, and they all look out for each other.
Yep, they got each other's back, which is not a bad thing.
No, unless you're Reclkess Ben.
Well, or unless you're doing something illegal.
Right.
Then it becomes a bad thing. Now, could this have remained a local dispute without social media? I think that without social media, Brian Manzell would have been out. There would have been nothing for him. There would have been no GoFundMe page. There would have been no potential return of the property. There would have been none of this. I think they would have shut him down, and he would have walked away with his tail between his legs had he not gotten Reckless Ben involved.
Attention. I think that might have been the plan.
I think that what they did was I think you're right. I think that was the plan, and didn't realize what an effect this social media presence was going to have. It really, just like I said earlier, snowballed in this.
Now, let me ask you, so does all the public pressure and all this other stuff, does it help the case more? You think, does it hurt it?
Well, there's an old adage, and I think you've probably heard this before, that no such thing as bad press.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as bad press. So the more that this gets reported on, the more civil defense attorneys do it, the more that civil rights lawyers look into it, the more that popular YouTubers get into it, then it is going to just continue to be a boil on Bricks and Minifigs' butt, as time goes on, I think. Yeah. Now, I don't want to see, I have no desire to see Bricks and Minifigs lose their business.
No.
No desire whatsoever. I do have a desire to see people be in integrity.
Justice needs to be done.
Justice needs to be done.
And I guess the question is also, too, where are the Legos?
I think they're still in the possession of Bricks and Minifigs. They might even still be in the closed down store. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but if you noticed that Reckless Ben went and had this huge banner made, and he draped it over the front of the Kaiser Bricks and Minifig store. Yeah, yeah. We made the store close because they wouldn't give over that stuff. So I mean, he went all out. You know, he didn't pull any punches on these folks here.
And sometimes it got to be that way. I mean, it's, you know, it's sometimes the big guys always think they're gonna step on the little guys, and they'll always win. The David and Goliath story.
Yeah. Well, the David and Goliath story was a chance thing, right? I mean, you know, it could have turned out totally different. Right. And from what I've seen in my life and watched in my news things, the little guy doesn't win like that a lot. They don't win like that a lot. You know, you've got a bully that's in charge of something. They usually have the resources, they have the better lawyers, they have the bigger cash, you know, backing of them, and they can draw this out. And that's one of the things that was said about this, is that Bricks and Minifigs had enough money to draw this out until it's over or whatever. Yeah. And again, I want to know now, so when all this came out, when the restraining order first came out, they had a GoFundMe page that was about $380,000 or $360,000. Because it specifically named Bricks and Minifigs in the GoFundMe, the court shut it down. GoFundMe removed it. They went back and changed it and put Mystery Company in there, and then they put it back up. Now, what would be the problem with Reckless Ben and Brian Mansell to say, you know what? We've got now almost $500,000 here now. Why don't we just stop? You know, we have the solution. We got what we wanted out of this. And now, the problem is the company is then not accountable. This is private individuals. In fact, one of the donors for this was a $7,000 donor. I mean, just some guy just said, "Here's $7,000 of my money."
Wow.
To take care of you and your father's situation there. I mean, that's remarkable. That's compassion. Definitely there. Yep. So it's still rolling. It's still going. Like I said earlier, June 22nd is the court date. They're still putting videos out daily, not Reckless Ben, but other sources are putting videos out because, as the one civil rights attorney said, I can talk about this all I want. Right. So the pressure is not off of Bricks and Minifigs at any point now. No. It's still on there. And then we're talking about it. So, you know, we got our thing. It's
definitely out there. Like I said, I wasn't aware of this story before. I saw the little headlines here and there, and then I didn't understand what it was all about. And then you mentioned it, and I went and started looking into it. And I was like, this is going to be a movie of the week at some point in time. And you would think it's going to be the next Aaron Brockovich movie. Is what's going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe not the consequences if they don't do what they're supposed to.
Right.
But I can see that some investigator, someone will play Reckless Ben. Mm-hmm. I don't know who would do that. Who would be a good? Who do you think would be a good? Now, if you've seen his pictures, you've seen what he looks like. Who would be a good actor? Now, don't say Timothy Chalamet because he's way overexposed at this point, right? Is that the first thing that came to mind? No, don't even do that. Don't even do that. Not Timothy Chalamet. Sorry, Timothy. Love your work, but you know, I think the one is that Austin guy, the one who played Elvis. Yeah, he would be good because he kind of looks like he could look like him.
But you know, they'll probably get the guy who played He-Man. I don't know his guy's name, but
I don't remember He-Man.
The He-Man movie just came out.
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh God, yeah, he's a little muscular guy. He's not super big, but you would think that he's filling in for.
But Ben's not muscular. You got. I mean, you know.
If he gets the pick, it can't be Brad Pitt at this point.
No, too old.
Yeah, too old.
Too old.
So I mean, he's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't be Timothy.
Now, who's the guy in The Shield? The guy from The Shield.
Vic Mackey, the guy who played Vic Mackey, the main guy?
Yeah, the main guy. What's the actor's name?
Michael Chiklis.
Michael Chiklis. There's Joshua Johnson.
Joshua Johnson.
Michael Chiklis
will do a good Joshua Johnson.
Now, Amon McNeff
Walter Goggins.
No.
I just think Walter Goggins should be in.
He should be in everything. He should be in everything. Yeah, because he plays a great bad guy.
Yeah.
Plays a great good. But I'm trying to think who maybe Joaquin Phoenix.
Ooh.
He could pull off the little mustache thing and everything. So we're casting the movie now.
No Jared Leto.
Well, no, Jared Leto would not.
You just
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jared, if you're watching this. He just
Jared. I mean,
got such a bad rap.
yeah, but he was good in that Dallas Buyers Club.
Yeah, he was good in that. He was good in Fight Club. He was good in a few movies. But,
No, I didn't see him in Fight Club. I didn't realize he was around then.
oh yeah.
Oh.
He was a kid that got pummeled almost to death.
Oh.
But yeah, no, he's a good actor. He just I think he started going too far method actor, and that's what really started ruining his movies.
Yeah.
He had a movie with him and Denzel Washington, where he had the fake belly, and it was like you could tell.
Was that the one where Denzel was investigating, like on the street there? There was this building there. So, okay, I can't remember the name of that one, but we're getting way off target here. We are way off target. But anyway, so not Timothy Chalamet, maybe Austin, whatever his name is. I can't remember his last name.
Something, yeah.
Yeah. Who did we say? Oh yeah, Michael Chiklis, and then
Did we say anything for that?
yeah, we did.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix, yeah. So there we go. That's our casting for the Lego My Legos. Lego My Legos. That's the name of the movie. Remember the Lego My Egos?
Oh yeah, no, I got it.
Lego My Legos.
Perfect name for the movie. I kid you not. Netflix is going to be.
Netflix is going to call us. Did you start your phone ring? Oh man,
I think they're thinking of us right now.
they probably are. But anyway, so the fallout of all this is Reckless Ben gets arrested twice, right? I don't know if you've seen the videos of him in the cop car, but he's in there talking to him, and he's like joking around. They're talking back and forth. Oh no, we forgot to mention, they were showing early on. They were showing the redacted videos from the cops.
Yeah, the cop cam.
The cop cams, and then, they said that it was hacked. It wasn't hacked. Some idiot I'm sorry, that's not fair. Somebody inaccurately put the whole dump of videos on a public file on the internet. And several lawyers, several people, and including Reckless Ben, downloaded them before they were taken off. And and even one of the civil rights lawyers said, why did they redact this? I mean, they already look bad for what they did. They were like, you want us to go chase them down? Okay, we'll go chase them down. You want us to arrest them? Okay, we'll arrest them. You want us to do this? Okay, we'll do that. Now, that's not directly what happened, but that's what happened. Yeah, because he's in his front yard. Joshua Johnson is there. Mm-hmm. Not that Joshua Johnson is there. And he's like, yeah, man, they look, there he goes in the car. You got to go get him. And the cop car takes off and goes down there. Yeah, and then that's when they pull him over. And they accuse him of doing a rolling stop. But you can hear in the video where it says, find a reason. They don't use those words, but find a reason to pull him over. Yeah, you can hear all that. It's not redacted anymore.
So
it's
I
like
haven't seen any of that, but it sounds like one of those movies where you got the bad guy, the villain, who's like running the entire town.
Yeah, and the bad guys could also be the police officers. I think they're just trying to do what's right. They don't realize, what they're doing. But you can obviously see the car stops and then makes a turn. And they were following him before that. So it wasn't like, they saw him make what they thought was a California stop and then stopped him. No, they had already been following him because as soon as they left Joshua Johnson's house, the cops were already in pursuit of him.
Wow.
So they were already following him. And then, if you watch the video of the cops interacting with the stop, right, the traffic stop goes way too long. They're doing it, number one, to gather evidence. Number two, to give them more time to figure out what's going on. At that point, that becomes an illegal stop. Yeah. The stop is only until you sit there and go, okay, well, we're going to give you a warning for this. Boom, it's done. There should be no more conversation. Reckless Ben shouldn't have said anything. He was talking to them. He shouldn't have said a word. He was trying to plead his case from the back seat of this car,
So wait, they put him in the back seat?
No. He was in the back seat of the car they stopped.
Okay, I saw that video because he fist bumped. Didn't the cop fist bump?
Yeah. No, the cop fist bumped, I think, Reckless Ben.
No, there was the guy who was driving. It was somebody in the front seat. I saw a fist bump.
Yeah.
He went to go shake hands, and then the cop just fist bumped him.
Yeah.
And I saw what looked like Reckless Ben in the back
Yeah.
seat. So that I saw that, but I didn't
Yeah.
get all the context in that video.
Yeah. But well, if you watch the whole video, it's basically, you know, the kid telling them, I'm just doing this for clicks and stuff like that. And then I don't know if you saw the video where they pulled that kid out of the car, and they're trying to say there's heroin in your car.
Oh my God!
We're gonna search your car. You can't search my car. Well, your pupils are dilated. From what? Well, you know, you must be high on something. Are we gonna find any drugs in the car? It's like the guy goes, I don't drink. I don't take drugs. I am not high on anything right now. And they were trying to bust him for that. And they eventually let him go. But this is well, there's heroin in your car. Well, how did they determine that? Who told them that there was heroin in the car? It had to be someone involved on the Bricks and Minifigs side. Right. Oh, they got heroin in the car.
Was it? Do we know if that? This probably doesn't really irrelevant information, but was this a rental car?
No, it was the kid's car.
So it's the kid's actually a Utah resident.
He lives right down the street from Joshua Johnson.
And that was a process server kid, right?
No. This was the male guy, the male kid who responded to the ad, because before Reckless Ben got up there, he put out a thing on his YouTube channel saying, "Hey, I need some people to go do videos. You know, check this out. You know, kind of do that." The kid in the car, he pretended to be an Amazon driver or one of those, and he was dropping a package off there, and it was filled with rubber duckies.
Yeah.
You know, so it was kind of a little bit of harassment,
Yeah.
maybe,
'Cause he got-
or a prank. I mean, I don't know what point it becomes harassment if it's just rubber duckies.
Well, from what I saw, I think there's 13 infractions or something that was part of that temporary restraining order. One of them was stalking. So and then harassment. So yeah, it could be one of those. I mean, that is so strange. So he put it out an ad to have somebody kind of just basically driving around. So that kid was a resident.
Yeah, he was a resident of the town. Now there's the other video where he gets arrested. He's in the car with the process server, and he's telling them, you know, here's your 4 Utah laws about what makes a process server a legal process server. And she met all 4 of the things. And yet they didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear it. Oh, she's your friend. She's not my friend. I just met her. I just met her today. You know, and I have to, and they were trying to say they weren't legal court papers. The cop went back to his car. He made the call, found out they were legal court papers, but still he tried to give them to the Joshua Johnson guy, and he didn't do it, you know, and he went back to the guy and he said, well, he wouldn't take them. And he's like, he doesn't have to take them. You're a police officer. You go, here, you're served. You can drop them on the ground at that point. You're served.
Yeah, take them back. Yeah. No.
You know?
Yeah, they're dropped off there. That's it.
And the cop didn't do that. He brought him back to Reckless Ben.
And this was all one of those dumps that they...
It's all on video. It's all on video. We're not making anything up here. This is the real deal.
Was there, on a side note, I heard somebody saying something about there was also... They were expecting to find some body cam footage of what happened here in Oregon, right, in Kaiser. But the cops here are not required to wear a body cam.
Right.
So there is no video footage or anything.
Well, I think the cops there were not required to have or didn't have them. Right. I think they're, as it stands, all police forces are getting to the point where they're going to have them, but some can't afford them yet. So I don't know if that's the case there. I don't know if that is the case. But the thing is, the only video we have is of the guy walking into the store, and I don't know if it's Reckless Ben or not. I didn't see in the video where it said whether it was him or whether it was Brian Mansell, but I think it was Reckless Ben, goes into the store and is told to leave immediately. That's the only video we have from Kaiser that I know of.
And the lady who told him to leave she's actually with the franchise.
She was an employee. I don't think she was the owner, but I may be wrong. If anybody knows, comment down there in the comments. Was she the owner?
Let us know.
But anyway, so then out of all this, now Bricks and Minifigs is suing. Right. You know, they're suing for defamation. They're suing for harassment, for stalking and all this stuff. They have tried to put out information that they have separated from these franchisees, which would have included Joshua Johnson. But yet, apparently, the last thing I heard was that his name was still on the documents on the Eugene store. So he hadn't been taken off those documents yet.
Now, what ties the Eugene store to the Kaiser store?
I think it's, you know what? That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, because as far as
It may be a different franchise, or the Eugene store may be maybe a corporate store.
yeah, it could be. I'm wondering if maybe, I mean, this is, if you guys know this, comment on this. Maybe Joshua was because I've worked for stores, franchises where basically if something changes, they would have a manager from one other store go over, take over to do liquidations or, count inventory and things like that. So I'm wondering by maybe that being maybe the closest store, he was the person that went to Kaiser's store to do work. I don't know.
Yeah, Bricks and Minifigs primarily operates as franchisees. It's a franchise system. The Eugene store is a franchised location owned by local franchisees rather than by the corporate office. Yeah, that's what it says about that.
So yeah, it'd be interesting to figure out why Joshua was involved with the Kaiser situation. Because I'm assuming, I mean, if all this stuff happened in Kaiser, what does Eugene have to do with it? Especially if it's a franchise, because that's a different owner, probably different market. I mean, everything's different,
Yeah.
And what are there, like 3-hour differences from here? If you drive from Eugene,
No, Eugene to Kaiser is like 40 minutes.
it's only 40 minutes?
Yeah,
I thought Kaiser was farther up north.
no. Kaiser is right on the other side of Salem. I mean, it's Salem-Kaiser.
That's right.
So it's right adjacent to that. So it's not very far at all. Done that drive more than I'd ever wanted to. But again, likewise, I mean, I was thinking, before we did this, maybe we go to Bricks and Minifigs and Eugene and check it out. But we could still do that. But I'm not videoing anything. I don't want to become part of that lawsuit
Let's see.
if I can help it.
Some Ray-Bans with the
Oh yeah, get the meta glasses. That's actually pretty cool now. A lot of people are using them for
pretty good.
they're pretty good glasses anyway. So now there's also RICO allegations in there. They're trying to get them on RICO charges, which is what they get the mafia on.
Right. What is it? Racketeering,
Something coercion and something.
coercion, and organization.
Yeah.
Yeah, some weird thing. But it takes, for a RICO charge, if I'm not mistaken, it takes multiple people. Like you can't just have one person have a RICO charge.
Yeah.
It has to be a number of people. So I
Yeah.
think we were
Well, that's what I'm talking about. The idea is that when he solicited people on his YouTube page to go act on his behalf and get video in that, then it became an organized thing. Now, whether that will raise to the level of RICO statutes, that's yet to be determined.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be pretty hard to, you put it out there. You'd have to show that there was some type of, well, I guess you could show.
Well, but then I would think there would have to be some kind of financial benefit from that too. I mean, you can't just say, hey, go do this. I mean, the First Amendment is pretty broad when it comes to being protected by this. Right. And then again, like you said, we talk about taking all the old videos down. That can be First Amendment, stuff there. This is a whole lot bigger than a Lego set now. I mean, First Amendment is very plain and clear on top of this. And of course, the store closed, but that's a whole nother thing altogether. That store was getting closed before all this happened.
And what we don't know, which is probably irrelevant information, is where they're going to cut it down just because she wasn't making her dues.
That's what they said. That was the accusation. All right. Now, maybe she was in arrears. But I was part of a franchise company. And you have to be pretty negligent before they take your franchise away. You got to be doing, in other words, the excuse is you weren't paying your dues. That's not the reason. No. That is the legal channel they use to take it away. I'm pretty sure that, again, I'm sorry for being a conjecturist, pretty sure that wasn't the main reason.
But it doesn't also make sense. It doesn't make sense that this collection would be the reason either.
No, I don't think that's all.
Other stores that basically, it'll be like an upside down pyramid. The way I would think of it is if you destroy the corporation, then the franchisees, I mean, they can probably just change their name and become something else other than Bricks and Figs,
Yeah.
Bricks and Minifigs. But would they risk all that for just that small little collection of Legos?
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, I don't know what the corporate structure is, and I don't know how many corporate stores there are, but I would imagine the franchises are a pretty big revenue source for them, because they basically don't have to do anything.
No.
They get the name, they get to sell the stuff, the corporation gets the fees, and maybe this franchisee said, you know what, we're not getting anything for our money. Maybe that's why she didn't pay. There's a whole lot more to unpack from all this than just that.
Yes.
And I wouldn't mind talking to the lady who was the franchisee if she would ever show her face.
She's in Belize or something.
Yeah.
She's gone. she vanished.
So again, the 22nd, we'll hear more. And I know that several of the civil rights lawyers are on top of this, and we'll probably hashtag a few of them so you can keep that. There's one TCRL, the civil rights lawyer, that has been doing on this. He's got the black beard and everything. He's got a lot of good information on that if you want to check him out. But yeah, there's a lot of information out there. Again, with me, like I said, conjecturing, I can only suppose or what's going on. I don't have access to all that insider information. And a lot of these civil rights people don't either. They're just going by what they've seen on YouTube. Now, the TCRL guy, he actually interviewed Reckless Ben. So there's an interview with him with Reckless Ben on there, and you can watch that and kind of give you that. But, like I said, there's a whole lot more to unpack.
Definitely a lot more. And then, what lessons are we learning from this? Like, what you got something you want to put on consignment? I don't think this is something that's widespread. I don't think this is something that may even come up again. I mean, this is like a one-off. This is such a weird story, a weird situation. Before moving up from California here to Oregon, a lot of furniture we didn't take with us. We dropped it off at a consignment store. Lots. I mean, we had some pretty rare stuff. We had a like 100-something-year-old Chinese wedding bed. It was a puzzle bed. You put it together like a puzzle. I mean, this thing was ancient. And you put it in a consignment store, and probably was sold for a couple $100. But what do you learn about it? I mean, do we have to try to get better legal representation when it comes to putting things there? There's a contract we signed. I would not expect to see something or hear something that, oh, this guy sold it and we're just going to keep your stuff, or your stuff is gone.
Well, again, I don't think the issue that comes out of this is what a consignment contract looks like. I think the issue comes out of this is how will YouTube journalism be able to move forward in this environment with this format, the way they're doing it. Because to be honest with you, this could have ended pretty badly. I mean, for Reckless Ben. Right. There's people out there that will shoot you for doing stuff like that. I mean, I look at a lot of these videos where they're pranksters, and like the guy that's dressed as a tree jumps out and scares people. Yes. And then, everybody's, then they laugh. But the moment somebody falls over dead, that's going to be different. Yeah. Or, this guy, and I love the MD motivator, but he'll sit in front of a store, pretend to have a hurt foot or pretend to have no shoes, and then the people come up to him, and then he finds somebody that's deserving and he gives them money. That's a little bit different, but still, at what point do these become, hey, we're tired of seeing this stuff. We want more, well, it is, those kind of things are constructive. And even this Reckless Ben thing may turn out to be constructive if it all goes his way. But my concern is, what does this mean for the First Amendment in the new digital age of social media? What's that going to mean? What's going to happen? Are we going to be able to say the things that we want to say with First Amendment protection without fear of going to jail? Now, there's journalists that go to jail all the time because they don't release their sources. They won't tell who told them that. That's another thing altogether there. They end up getting out. Will some court eventually hold them in contempt? Will Reckless Ben have to spend time in jail or prison because of this? Because he sought to right a wrong?
And new laws are created all the time, and not always in our favor.
And again, this is probably going to be a state thing before it's a federal thing.
Yeah.
Maybe a county thing before it's a state thing.
No, and I don't know the law, how this works, but he also crossed state lines, right?
Yeah, they said he came out of California to go to Utah for
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Big whoop.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the but big whoop. Is he stalking at that point, or is he investigating a story? To my point, he's investigating a story at this point. Yeah. From what I've seen, I don't see the stalking just because he crossed state lines.
I think they just try to grab everything they possibly could to see what was stick.
Well, and what they do, and especially when it comes to state prosecutors and that, they put as many things on that writ that they can, and then they end up going down. I mean, there's been some writs that have had 15 things on it, and the guy pleads guilty to one, and then they're done.
Which I believe this one was 13. I think I read somewhere it was 13 items on it.
And that's the current one. There may be more to come.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. But anyway, if you like this content, if you like this storyline, we may do more on it. In fact, I want to do more after the court date on the 22nd. But I'd like to see how this thing turns out.
Yeah, if you have any questions or anything you want to add to what we've talked about, something that we may have gotten wrong, or something that you know something more about, comment.
Yeah. I think this is one of those where I don't think we really got anything wrong.
No, that's all out.
I don't believe it. It's all out there. We're basing it on what we've seen in the videos that are already out there. But if you think we overstepped or something, like and comment, like and subscribe, but please comment. Let us know what you're thinking about this. We'll probably reply in the comments, or we may actually touch on it on another thing. If you're someone involved in this story and are seeing this, hey, we'd love to have you on the program and talk about it. Stay tuned for more. Stay tuned for more episodes from these two guys. And we'll be back with another episode coming soon. Peace.
It's these two guys. These two guys. It's these two guys.